Yo, what's up, boys and girls of the Mirko? Welcome to the M5 teams breakdown, where we're going to be breaking down every single one of the teams, and then by the end of it, you can also just skip over to the tier list if you just want to watch the tier list. But tier list is going to be all the way in the end if you want to see every single team broken down, basically, in my opinion. Then, yeah, take a look. So, we're going to start things off by saying the name of the team, the three most notable players, or two, depending on the team. And then I'll just talk about their playstyles, what makes them strong, what makes them a contender, what makes them really, really good. Okay, so let's just start it with the first team, AP BREN, one of the tournament favorites. Notable players, definitely, I mean, it was really tough, to be honest, to choose 3 out of the 5 players for AP BREN, because honestly, I think AP BREN, ONIC, these two teams, all 5 members you can really highlight, but had to choose 3. 3 was the maximum. There's no minimum. AP BREN, notable players, I gotta say it's Super Mirko, Ogwen. I think no Ogwen's a bit higher on like Ogwen number 1, Super Mirko, and then few. Actually, there's no real list. It's just you can't really list these players like that, right? I mean, that's how good they are. But those are the 3 most notable players for me on AP BREN. They're super strong at team fights, I would say. For AP BREN, they're really, really good at like just team fighting in general with their pickoff / team fighty compositions. It's always about just getting AoE, getting set up, right? Flap TZ, getting AoE, getting set up, getting team fight dependent heroes. They really, really love contesting for neutral objectives in the early game, as do all the top teams. I think that is something that you definitely have to put a lot of emphasis on, and I think AP BREN does it a bit better than most, if not all of the teams. Cal TZ is also a jungler that is just phenomenal for this team, a perfect fit for the team. He's a jungler that isn't scared at all to invade, and so is the team. You'll see in a lot of situations, especially when they have a bit of a lead, that they will literally just sacrifice their lanes just to get into the enemy jungle, invade, and get Cal TZ ahead even more. And that is usually based on how the mid control, or how they control their mid lane, their mid wave, and also their XP. Again, sometimes they just throw away all the setups, like, you know, getting the waves in the proper position before going in. They won't care about that. Sometimes they know the rules so well that they know when to break it as well, and that's what makes AP BREN so scary. On top of that, they're amazing at just playing towards the late game. Let's say they go for these neutral objective fights, they lose out on the early objectives, and they don't get the early win condition. Completely fine, because that's where Super Mirko, or Mr. Recitiano as we call him on the channel, that's where he comes in. He's one of the best gold laners in M5. I would say, actually, maybe for me, he is the best gold laner in M5. The fact that he's so good at utilizing an early lead, at even utilizing an early deficit to farm, to look for scraps around the map and still be able to be even against the enemy gold laner who is supposed to be ahead. That's something that Super Mirko has, that he's had for a while now, and the fact that the team is also very multi-dimensional. They don't always go for just early game control. They can go for mid game, they can go for late game. Really depends on what their composition, what Vren and Ducky drafts for them. They're probably the biggest threat to ONIC, to be completely honest with you guys. If ONIC is the tournament favorite, the biggest threat to ONIC should be AP BREN. We saw that in a Snapdragon as well. They were able to take ONIC all the way to a full 5-game series because of their team fighting prowess. If you're good at team fights, you should actually be able to give ONIC some problems here. And for AP BREN, I think that's the team to beat, right? Because on paper, AP BREN are probably the best team with ONIC right now. Super Mirko and Flap TZ are also very reliable, so it doesn't even have to like go towards Super Mirko. A lot of these games, especially the games I saw at MPLI, Super Mirko did almost nothing in some of these games because the team was just so good at finding objectives all around that Super Mirko just had to farm up and destroy turrets by the end of it. That's how good they are at just mixing and mashing. But with that, we're gonna move on to the second team, which is Blacklist International. Notable players for me is definitely gonna be Edward, Sensui, and Yue. Despite not having VYs, they still have been able to pull off, I don't know if I want to call it Ube, but we'll call it pseudo Ube, because it's not really full Ube. Why I'm calling it a pseudo Ube is because it's not the Ube that we are used to seeing from VYs, the Blacklist International with VYs. This new style is a bit more proactive around the map, a bit more risky, a bit more forcey as well. Why do I say forcey? Back in the VY's era of Blacklist International, whenever they lose out on the neutral objective, they will just continue to they'll play it safe. They have what Wolf calls is the anti-disaster protocol. It's the ADP. Once they lose out in the early game, they will play as safe as they can. Just look for trades around the map to minimize the enemy gold lead, to minimize their losses, and then they will take it on with the next power spike. That's when they will try to look for another neutral objective. First power spike doesn't hit, we wait for the second power spike, get the second power spike, and now we try it again. If they lose it again, then obviously it's another slow roll to the third power spike. They always have really good backup plans. Got to give props to Blacklist International. Their coaching staff has always been phenomenal at drafting multiple layers of carries and power spikes to give them very good chances in the game. But I think now, right, with the new roster here, with Sensui especially, they're able to really just force a lot of these early game fights that they don't win. Why? Because Sensui is, I think for me personally, the best red tree at M5, the guy who holds the best red tree is Sensui. Sensui's red trees are sometimes honestly very unreal. The fact that he will always make a 50-50 look like a 70-30, like an 80-20, it's disgusting how good this guy is. And I really, really love the fact that Blacklist International knows how good this player is on that red tree. Because now they are literally forcing a lot of the neutral objectives, something that you really don't see a lot from Blacklist International. Risky plays, forced plays, but it's something that made them special and something that got them so many wins, made them qualified to M5. Though, I will have to say, with this risky playstyle, they are very reliant on the players actually succeeding, right? I mean, mechanically, Sensui needs to hit those red trees, and the reason why I put Edward as a notable player as well is because I think even though Sensui is amazing, even though the rest of the team is amazing, Yue as well, a very, very good mid laner who I think right now possibly is better than Haji. It's a bit hard to say because I'm a Haji fan myself, but Yue right now is amazing, especially on Valentina. One of the best Valentinas in M5 for sure. But yeah, the team still heavily relies on Edward. Just like they did back in the VY's era, just like they always have, they are very reliant on Edward. He's probably still, if he's in his top form, still probably the best XP laner in the world, since Sanford's not in M5 right now. But he is the GOAT in the XP lane. He cannot underperform. If he underperforms, the team loses. I think the best example of that is against AP BREN in the grand finals. That's exactly what happened. Edward on the Benedetta, on a lot of the different picks that he utilized, he just didn't perform the way that a lot of people expected him to, right? I mean, I think you guys can also agree, that people who actually watched the MPL Philippines Season 12 grand finals, and I think just the playoffs as well. But there you go. That's Blacklist International. Next, we're going to move on to ONIC. Notable players, Kyrie, Sans, Keyboy. These three players, we all know what they can do. ONIC are probably the best team in this tournament on paper. Mechanically, individually, player-wise, they have the best player in the world, / the best jungler in the world, which is Kyrie. In my opinion as well, a lot of people might disagree with this. Well, not a lot of people, a lot of people who are subscribed to my channel will disagree with this, but Sans is the best mid laner in the world right now, and I believe Keyboy is also the best roamer in the world, mechanically, individually. If these three players are able to fully perform as well, this is why ONIC, I think this has been a big problem for ONIC as well. This has been, a pattern all throughout. In every international tournament that they've been participating in, mechanically, they're always so good. But there lies their weakness as well, their macro. A lot of teams have been able to fully capitalize on that. M3, MSC 2022, M4, that's what happened. When a team is not in tip-top form, when these mechanical gods aren't able to produce those miracle plays, that's where the team falls. Luckily for them, though, I would say right now they're in a really good spot because they fixed most of their errors. We saw in MSC, we saw in Season 11, we saw in Season 12 that even if they don't make those miracle plays happen, these mechanical mistakes are not easily exploited anymore because they have very good macro to back it up. They also have very good backup. I wouldn't say like they're actual backup players, but their Boots and CW are backup players in a way where they will literally fill in whatever the team needs. The main priority for ONIC has always been Kairi Sans, Keyboy. These three players get their comfort picks. These three players dictate the tempo of the game, and then they'll always have the two other players, Boots and CW, the side laners, fill in those gaps. If they want Boots on a bit more of a tanky hero, they'll give CW a stronger matchup. If they want to give Boots like the carry, the setup heroes, then they'll give CW a weak side, very safe gold laner that just scales to the late game where he can actually pop off. We've seen this multiple times. And so far, no team has been able to fully counter this ONIC because of how volatile, how unorthodox, how unpredictable their playstyle truly is right now. And what's crazy is the fact that all these players have, I think also, in my opinion, the biggest hero pool in every role. Like for Boots, for Sans, for Kairi, especially, Keyboy, and even CW. Their hero pool is massive. It's crazy. And the fact that Coach Yev is the only coach that I've seen personally walk up on stage and draft through just improvisation. The man doesn't have any notes. The man doesn't have any... He doesn't bring anything. He doesn't bring anything except for himself on stage, which is fucking crazy. But that's how he's able... He's a genius. That's how he's able to just improvise the draft so well with how flexible all the players are to create very weird combinations. But at the end of the day, it works for the team. That's ONIC. Next, it's Geek Fam ID. Notable players, Beloyski, Marky, and a boy. These three players, for sure, in my opinion. The way that they were able to play to get to the M5 World Championship, like through MPL ID, was, I would say, purely through how good their team fighting was. And it wasn't just random team fighting. It wasn't just like aggressive team fighting. It's super long, drawn out team fights that made them special. Beloy on healers is what gave them so much more of that forcible nature to draw out the team fights, because without the healers, you kind of force to just go in. Whoever wins, wins. On the healers, you can force that to be a little bit longer. They can outplay their opponents through mechanics and even macro through different angles with those healers. And then they can kite, play, look for angles, etc., right? This translates to everything. Neutral objective fights, ganks, counter ganks, and just plays around the map. However, this is also why I think Geek Fam fucking had a very abysmal performance at MPLI. Remember, there was a pretty big patch where the healers got adjusted. Most of the healers got adjusted. I think all the healers got adjusted, nerfed. Some nerfed to the ground. And even the photo, Flask of the Oasis, got nerfed and are no longer as OP as they were before. This has definitely impacted Geek. Very, very visible. Their MPLA performance, hate to say it again, but it was horrible. Expected Geek Fam to be much better than that. But I think, honestly, this is a very good is going to be very, very good for them. I think MPLI is a good reality check to the players, to the coaching staff, and everyone. So now they can try to utilize both. I think they might be a bit too comfortable utilizing those healers. That's why they didn't really adapt. They didn't really change anything for MPLI. But now that they've had a big slap in the face, getting knocked down in the group stages, they can go back to what made Geek Fam special in the regular season of MPLID. What made them special, you may ask? Pick off heroes. Big brain Beloy with the concealed plays to turn games around. It's very risky. It's something that at this point you may be able to expect. But then I'll say it again. BBB always finds a way to enter. And BBB always finds a way to look for that crazy, stupid angle that nobody thinks of. But it's not stupid because it makes sense. It works for him. As long as he's able to make that happen, and as long as the players... Remember, the players also need to help Beloyski. Luke, when he's on point, one of the best XP laners in Indo. At his peak, he's probably up there with Boots, man. He's probably maybe even better at his peak. But he's so inconsistent. Luke plays playmaking heroes. The Terizlas, the Lapus. And yeah, we've seen these outplays happen many times before. But then we see him absolutely just go in and die sometimes. If Luke is in his best form, he's going to pop off. Geek will be really, really good with Beloy. Same goes for a boy. And Chidera, Marky, the whole lot of them. Niall as well. That's what is... I think that's the problem with Geek Fam for the longest time. How to stay consistent. And that's something that they really have to find here. If not, they can always just rely on a boy. I think a boy is probably the most consistent member on the team, especially when he gets Feramis. Feramis is back in the meta. A boy's Feramis is the best in Indonesia. Unfortunately, we don't count Sons because Sons is he's not a human. He's not a player. A boy, best Feramis if we don't count Sons. Sons is on a different level. In MPLID, they can use super subs as well. That's something that's a fun fact. Chidera, Marky Chidera. In MPLID regular season, it was Chidera who was able to become a super sub. When Marky was underperforming, Chidera then underperformed in the playoffs, and then Marky stepped in. In MPLI, both didn't do much. But we're going to move on to RRQ Akira, with the most notable players being Gusta Lagusta, Takashi, and Louise. Super aggressive and proactive maneuvers across the map, which usually wins them games through snowballs / death balling, but with a solid backup plan in mind. That's where Gusta Lagusta comes into the play, right? He's such a good goal laner in the way that he can utilize the lead that the team has in the early game to get more of a lead, to just snowball and carry the game, or he could play it safe and just scale up. He's one of those goal laners as well that win or lose, he's going to be relevant in the game. Takashi, very, very flexible. You're going to see a lot of Takashi, a lot of weird picks from Takashi. Now, I wouldn't say weird, but a lot of picks from Takashi. He is the most unique hero pool picks as an XP laner in MPL Brazil. Louise is also a flashy roamer. By the way, you guys should get excited for roamer battles in this in M5, because the roamer battles will actually be amazing. There's so many crazy mechanical roamers that we're going to see, and Luis is one of them. He has a lot of 100% win rates. He has 100% win rate on Cho in Season 4 of MPL Brazil. Season 5 of MPL Brazil, he has 100% win rate on Kufra. And they've been super dominant in Brazil. For the last 2 years, they've had the longest winning streak ever, I think, in MLBB history as for a professional team for MPL. And now it just comes down to how they can prove to the world that Brazil is not just a farmers league. It's not just their league. So far from what we've seen from Brazil, though we've only seen Brazil, Brazil's very new, right? So still, we've only seen Brazil very little times. Even in MPLI, we didn't get to see them perform. This is truly the proving grounds. They're gods in their region, but if they don't perform internationally here in M5, their region will be disregarded, and a lot of people will just look at Brazil as just like, they're just fillers. They have a very good team, RRQ Akira, but their best team, the team that has dominated Brazil, can't go toe-to-toe against the Southeast Asian teams, not even the other teams. Then they will be disregarded for sure. That's why I think Akira will definitely perform well this time. They have so much to prove. I just can't see them underperform, and if they do, then the pressure definitely got to them. On the other side, though, Brazil, we have BTR Sons as well, who qualified to M5 with a very, I wouldn't say very new roster, but BTR are relatively newer compared to RRQ. Notable players, it's Super Upa, Gold Laner, Syndra, Mid Laner, and Luna. This is where we get to a little bit of negatives. Very one-dimensional, BTR Sons. They either win early game really hard, contest, and avoid team, or they either win early game through contesting neutral objectives, getting neutral objectives, snowballing, or then just completely avoiding team fights. If they lose early game, they will avoid team fights completely. They'll wait for power spikes, and that's it. They will lose so much in the process of just avoiding team fights that the enemy team gets such a big lead and ultimately ends the game. Thing about BTR Sons, though, and a lot of the newer teams, I would say, is very similar to a lot of the wildcard teams. When they win early game, sometimes they lack a lot of creativity, a lot of discipline to actually fully capitalize on the early game lead of gold at XP and take it further to a win. They just don't have the creativity and the discipline to do that. Aside from that, though, their objective control is pretty amazing. The fact that they were able to go against RRQ Akira and actually win a lot of the neutral objective control, a lot of the neutral objective contests as well, was amazing. But it's always been like this for BTR, whether it's Brazilian BTR Sons, or BTR in Indo. We always lose to RRQ, except, the MPL playoffs, W moment. But yeah, aside from that, BTR, neutral objectives. Whenever they have early game, they just don't have the creativity. They don't have the discipline. And this is both for BTR ID and BTR Sons. Let's move on to the next one. A Malaysian champion. It's HomeBois. Notable players, Zorn, Rizal, Chibi. Chibi, well, we spoke about how good Sensui is, how good his Retri is. Chibi is basically... yeah, he's basically the same. His Retri is godly. And the doubts were always about Chibi being good at Retries just in MPL Malaysia, because MPL Malaysia don't have good junglers. They don't have the same quality as the other regions. Well, in Season 12 Malaysia, Demon Kite stepped in. Max stepped in. A lot of these new and young junglers from, big regions stepped into MPL Malaysia, and I think he proved a lot of the haters wrong. Chibi. In MPLI as well, I think they were able to really shock the world. Me included. Rizal, for example. In Alter Ego, I would say he was very average at the time. Season 10, I believe it was. But now, or Season 11, yeah. But now, I don't know what the Malaysians are feeding him, but everything about his game that I said was average has improved so much, and he is definitely a top goal laner now. And I think the main pillar of this team has to be how they're able to look for these aggressive engages, maneuvers, and take control of the game completely. Zorn and Chibi, right? But Zorn is the guy who actually sets up for everything. He is an insane playmaker when he gets his hands on his comfort heroes. That's a very big, put that in bold. He needs to get his comfort heroes. He needs to get the heroes that he can playmake on. If he doesn't get that, then the team really loses a lot of strength. And another thing that I want to give props to for Zorn is the fact that this man feels no pressure. This man does not give a fuck about all of the hate, doesn't give a fuck about any of the comments made against him. Most people will hate him for recalling, for trash talking, etc. But for me, that's something that I really respect. That's the mentality you should have to become a champion. If you shit talk after the game, you're a bitch. This guy is the opposite of bitch. He's a fucking Chad. He is an absolute Chad mentally. And if he gets his comfort picks with that mentality, this team is going places. The fact that I think they haven't revealed all their cards at MPLI, because why would they when they have M5? I am really excited to see what HomeBois can bring to M5. And if they are able to replicate the same kind of playstyle or that success of MPLI, they're definitely going to be contenders. Next, Team Flash. Notable players, Hades and Adamir. Hot take, Team Flash are not the best team in SG. It sounds weird, but I think that the win against RSG was very, very lucky. But I have to say, luck is a skill in this game. Like, seriously. And it only just goes to show you how strong they are mentally. They are mental monsters. The roster itself is it consists of all veterans. Every single one of their players are veterans, bro. Except maybe for their substitute, yeah? Adamir, Hades, Jay, Vanix, and Lolzy. These guys are veterans, and that's why they have such a fucking rock hard mentality, bro. The fact that they were up against the odds, against the 3-time champs in MPL SG, last game, that 1 HP from BREN, and they still kept on going, they still kept on fighting till the very end, and they were able to outlast RSG SG mentally, and they outlasted them stamina-wise as well. It is lucky, but you can't just say it's pure. I mean, you can't just say luck is not a skill. At this point, luck is a part of the skill in the game. Adding to the fact that Adamir is super, super flexible as an XP laner. Literally, give this man any hero, tank, damage, setup heroes, and he'll adjust to anything the team needs. Hades also definitely the pillar for Team Flash, especially on Assassins. This man has always been overshadowed by a lot of people who replace him. Back in Echo, he was replaced. In Geek Fam, also now replaced by Nile. But now it's really time for him to prove to the world that he truly is the god of the underworld. He truly is a force to be reckoned with in M5. Next, it's See You Soon. Notable players, MP the King, for sure, Kusei, and Boxy. The most aggressive team I've ever seen is See You Soon. I'm not even joking. I've casted Indonesian teams like Alter Ego. I've casted a lot of Dewa United games as well. And no, this team is the most aggressive team I have ever seen. I'm not even joking. This team is ridiculously aggressive. They will literally just gamble and go for the hardest hitting early game heroes. They'll go for Martis. They'll go for Dairoth. They'll go for all these early game heroes. And if they don't win early game, if they don't snowball, then they'll fucking fight again. They keep on fighting. They keep on fighting until they get that lead. The name See You Soon is literally their playstyle. Because they go on to the first turtle, they team fight for the first turtle, and then they will just say, see you soon. Win or lose, they'll be like, see you soon. Because next time they meet, they're going to fucking start bashing heads again. Fight, 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 fight. And their mechanics help them so much. Dude, MP the King on the Martis. Martis isn't really like a mechanical hero, but for some reason, MP the King makes it seem so fucking impressive. Every time. And again, because this team is so aggressive, I got to use a lot of swear words. Because this is how I'm trying to replicate their playstyle. It's basically how I'm trying to fucking convey to you guys how they play. That's how aggressive it is. Mirko, you're swearing a lot. Exactly. That's what See You Soon. They don't swear, but they swear in game because they just fight randomly, which is good because it works for the team, especially for Kusei, because their gold laner, another star in the team, another notable player for them, is the perfect fit for an early game aggressive team. Why? Because he's a farmer. Literally, he's a farmer. While all the chaos is happening on the other side of the map, this guy will literally just farm until he hits his power spike, and then he will become the real carry if it's necessary. The early game falls, just leave it all to Kusei in the late game. You guys just chill, and as long as Boxy is able to play in the early game and the late game the same way he plays, super flashy, super aggressive, Boxy definitely up there as one of the best mechanical roamers as well. That's why I told you earlier when we were talking about RRQ Akira, get ready for a lot of mechanical duels in the roam position, because Boxy is so good. I've confirmed this with all players as well, because as a caster, I see it and I'm like, okay, he looks really, really good. He looks amazing, but maybe the players don't feel the same. I asked the players and they're like, yeah, Boxy's disgusting. He's a Cho god. He's a Kufra god. He has 100% win rate on the Kufra, guys, for Autumn, for M5, the season before M5. Crazy. And again, while we're on the topic of crazy roamers, Triple Esports also with Troll, another crazy mechanical roamer who's part of the notable players with his brother Tarzan, and then the gold laner Lark. Troll and Tarzan, I said it earlier, yes, are real brothers. They're actual brothers in real life. And it truly shows in game as well. They kind of have like telepathic shot calls with each other. It seems that way. They're always able to sync together, and this leads to a lot of them. This leads to the team just owning a lot of the early game team fights against most teams in MPL MENA. They usually translate early leads to help their goal laner and win and main win con. Basically, yeah, their main win con is Lark. So they usually translate all their early leads to help Lark. If Lark gets ahead, he's their main win con. How do I phrase it? It's kind of like if they get this man ahead and play around him, they will win. They need to really spoil this guy. They need to babysit this guy. It's kind of similar to MPL Season 11 Evos, if you remember with Brands. They literally just feed Brands, and then Brands carries, or if they don't feed Brands, or if Brands dies, then they lose. Lark is a spoiled gold laner, but in a very good way, because if he is spoiled, he carries the game hard. Next, Deus Vult. Sunset Lover and Sawo, two notable players. They really, really enjoy team fight compositions, and also they're very gold lane oriented. So very similar to Triple Esports. In the early game, they want to give the gold as much as their gold laner as much as a lead as possible through their mid duo rotating to the gold lane, giving him a lot more pressure to play with. They attain advantages also through mainly neutral objectives. They're very for Deus Vult. It seems like they're very predictable. You know, their play style is very standard. Play through gold and then get neutral objectives is what all teams go for. But what's special about Deus Vult is the fact that they execute it in a very unorthodox way. It's a very linear gameplay, very formulaic gameplay, but their execution is definitely not linear. It's definitely not formulaic. It's very unorthodox. They're very good at looking for unpredictable angles, for really, really weird off angles, to look for initiations, to look for fight setups, and to look for neutral objective control. And honestly, there's not a lot of info on Deus Vult, to be honest, but that's why I personally am very excited to see them play, because from the match that I have seen from Deus Vult against Umbrella Squad, they're very creative. Umbrella Squad are also very creative. If you guys watched the wildcard, they picked the Gushin. But yeah, Deus Vult, very, very creative. And they also have veterans in their team. So it's not like Umbrella Squad, where a lot of the players are young and maybe inexperienced. They have Sunset Lover and Sawo. If you don't know, they were part of the Navi roster for M3 with Defender. And yeah, the rest. Well, let's move on to Fire Flux. Rosa, TNZ, and Alien, definitely the top notable players for me. And I've seen a lot of people already start to disregard Fireflux since MSC. Don't count their MSC performance, because in MSC, they did not have Rosa. I'm being honest with you guys. Rosa is the pillar for the team. He's the carry. Not necessarily through damage. He's not always the best. Like, he doesn't always have the number one most damage in the team. But through very intelligent maneuvers, very intelligent positioning, and with the team's solid cover, it's almost like he pokes, he looks for these angles, and his target acquisition is amazing, and TNZ is the executor. Alien is also another cornerstone in this composition to engage and look for those crazy big picks, like we saw at M4. And also, I think for Fireflux, right now, the fact that they are being disregarded, the fact that everybody's already started to write them off, they have a chance, the biggest chance maybe, to be the dark horse. Everybody's writing them off, and I want to see Fireflux turn heads. They know how they've strategized for so long on how to beat Blacklist International. Now they're in the group with against Blacklist again. So it's literally just like M4 again. But this time, they've learned a lot through their losses, I think. Next, we're going to go to TOB, the Ohio brothers. BP1, Shark, and Hoon, the trio mid, just instantly. It's all about the trio mid for TOB so far from what we've seen in MPLI and even in, I would say even in NACT. They win and lose through their trio mid. Trio mid wins and they get to translate it over to any of the side lanes, whether it's playing for Mielo, whether it's playing for Zia. But side lane wise, Zia individually is actually very, very amazing. I think there was a meme like, nice gold laner you have there, and a lot of people hated on Zia for a while back in NACT because he wasn't really performing that well as a gold laner, but now he's really improved as a gold laner, I would say. He solo killed Super Mirko in MPLI, and that really blew my mind, dude. They have really good players. Even Mielo, we all know he's the GOAT, but they sometimes their drafts fuck them up so fucking hard. It's so weird. They have so random drafts at times, like the Chang'e as well. I guess it works like against lower tier teams, but in M5, I don't think that's something you want to try. I personally don't like that. And if they are able to fix that, they're actually going to be quite good. Because even at MPLI with very weird drafts, they were able to perform quite well. And after a few weeks, right, MPLI, their performance was after a few weeks of training in Indo. It actually already looked okay. It looked like they improved. Now add a few more weeks that they flew over to PH right after MPLI, and they're looking strong. I hope they look strong. I hope. I said they are looking strong, but that's more of like the copium in me that they will actually look strong. Yeah, but that's it for TOB. We're gonna move on to Burmese Ghouls. Burmese Ghouls, it's Stitch and Lina. They're most notable players. They're very proactive on the map. Love to utilize utility supports for drawn out team fights, kind of like GEEK Fam. But same concerns with GEEK Fam for this one as well. Also because of all their passport issues, etc. That you guys have probably heard as well recently about Burmese Ghouls not being able to fly. I think they finally addressed those issues and have finally found a solution to those issues, but still, that's a lot of time, maybe out of practice. Hopefully that didn't really affect them too much and they should still be able to perform. Stitch is definitely the main carry in this team. His target acquisition is fucking insane. He's a menace in these team fights because of how good he targets members down, especially on Brody and Bruno. Those are the two heroes that he really pops off on. Lina, also a game changer in the mid lane. It's kind of the same. Very good target acquisition. The way that he utilizes the poke is always... he finds an angle to find the backliners. And for Burmese Ghouls, that's it. They really have good team fights, long drawn out. It's literally, I would say I would draw a lot of comparisons from Burmese Ghouls and GEEK Fam. And this was what helped them win the qualifiers, the M5 qualifiers. But then we're down to the last two teams, which are the wildcard teams. SMG first. SMG. Man, to be honest with you guys, I was really disappointed with SMG and their performance in wildcard. Did they win? Yes. Still, was I disappointed? Yes. They made so many fundamental mistakes, and it's not even the fact that like they were losing early game. These are mistakes that are even more fatal than losing early game. They win early game. They have a 10,000 gold lead. They have 3 base turrets down. But for some reason, they find a way to lose the game through very weird decisions. Mirko has said, I actually called DJY on one of my M5 wildcard broadcasts, and DJY showed his phone to Mirko, and Mirko was like, Mirko, don't be mad, we'll win next game. And then I saw the next game, they did very well. I think they definitely improved. Thank God they thank God they improved, because if they didn't improve, I think they might have actually lost against some of the other wildcard teams. But shows you that SMG, even though sometimes it's really shaky in the start, they are able to adapt. That's a good what's it called? A good style to have, but also kind of a bad one here though. Because luckily they had wild card, right? Because in M3, I think that's what happened to them as well. They started off really bad, but then they got slightly better. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough for them at M3. Here, they had the wild card, so they had a warm-up already as to how it feels playing in the M5 stage. So I actually think for M5, they should be okay. They should be good. Thing is, they're in the same group with AP BREN and LilGun. Oh, sorry, no, not LilGun. They're in the same group as Blacklist, Flux, and Akira. So, yeah, the group of death. I think SMG might just go dead last in this group due to all those errors, and if they're not warmed up, 0-3 possibly in the group. Most notable players, though, I'll have to say it's definitely got to be Mirko. Mirko's definitely in there. Mirko Stormy and Mirko Stormy Smooth, I think. Mirko Stormy Smooth. Now we're going to move on to LilGun. LilGun, I said this, by the way, I'm keeping the wildcard team short because I already did a wildcard breakdown. LilGun, Aizen, and 4-Bit. I said in the wildcard breakdown that Aizen and 4-Bit are basically the two pillars of this team. The fact that Aizen and 4-Bit, if they underperform, the team underperforms. For the longest time, it's been that way, even in the Asian Championships. The rest of the team was pretty good in ISF as well, but those two were the standouts to me. Now, it's completely different. Dude, the team that we saw play in wildcard was completely different. Ethan has stolen the show with Bebex as well. It went from Aizen 4-Bit to now being Ethan and Bebex show. The fact that they are shining at random moments, like they can just choose who gets to shine, the whole team is so good. And I love the fact that Zix's aura is just consistent. He's not bad, he's not good, he's not bad, but he's not amazing. He's great. He's just there. Bebex and Ethan, though, they're definitely better than great. Get it? M5 catchphrase. But with that, I think LilGun are set to be the DH, the dark horse of this tournament, really. Hopefully they do become the dark horse of this tournament. Personally, I'm rooting for LilGun this tournament, really. Aside from the Indo teams, obviously, but LilGun. Hopefully I don't mirror curse them. But yeah, let me know in the comment section what you guys think of all the teams. If you guys disagree, agree as well. But we are going to get to the tier list first, and then you can tell me whether you agree or disagree with any of my takes on all of these teams. So I'll see you guys in the tier list. All right, boys, here we are. We've already broken down all the teams, so we're just going to go and put these teams up there. I think we start with Blacklist International. So how we're doing this is we'll have an L category for a team that I think will just not perform, the team that I think will just lose out completely. Looking at the teams and after breaking them down, I don't think there's going to be any L teams, to be honest with you. Maybe we'll look for one hot take. We'll try to disrespect one org. That's it. But all right, let's start with Blacklist all the way from here. You know what? Let's start from the top. Why don't we start from the top? Deus Vult. I think they are very, very. I think they should be B tier. Yeah, I think for Deus Vult, they should be around B tier. They definitely have a chance to go for Dark Horse, but I don't have a lot of data on them, and maybe that's exactly why they deserve to be Dark Horse, but I want to reserve this for the teams that I think have the chance to actually contend. They're not just teams that a lot of people disregard, but a team that can also pop off. Deus Vult, they're definitely high tier B, though. They might even be A. We might have to shift later on as well, but for now, we're going to put Deus Vult at B. Fireflux, Dark Horse for sure. This is why I kept it for Fireflux. Fireflux has shown many times that they are able to compete against the top teams. Even in MSC, despite them not having Rosa, they were able to take a game off of Blacklist International. The same Blacklist that got to grand finals that took 2 games off of ONIC. Echo weren't even able to do that, you know? So, Dark Horse for sure for Fireflux. Triple Esports, B for sure. Team Flash, B for sure. Maybe an L, honestly. HomeBois, I'm gonna have to put them at A. See you soon as well. Gonna have to put them at A. LilGun. LilGun is tough. I wanna put them at dark horse, but a lot of people already know how they play. Very high B to low A. Very high B to low A. I think they should be around here. BTR Sons. This is another B that might be L. Honestly, it's hard because it's a team that I support, but facts are facts. AP BREN, straight to the top. GEEK fam, based on that performance, I'm not really going to give. I'm not gonna be generous with A tier and S tier. I think these are for the good teams. You know, GEEK fam. MPLA performance is horrible. I do believe that they can definitely step up and make it to A and maybe even here. See, when all the players on the team performs, I think they're very easily a top A. But when it's uncertain, right? Like right now, safest choice is very high B. Burmese Ghouls, I would also say maybe around like high B to low B. High B to mid B. It's like, we'll put them at lower than... dude, this is tough. We'll put them here. We'll put them here for now. BG. You know what? They can actually become a dark horse. No one's really expecting much from them. Yeah. You know what? Burmese Ghouls deserve to be here, I think. Like, not a lot of people expect anything from Burmese Ghouls anymore. And they're very young. Fuck it. Yeah, I think they're going to be... This is good. SMG. Right here, I think. Yeah. TOB... should be here. DOB should be here. It should be like here or here. Maybe even better than GEEK. Akira should be here as well, I think. They should be better than TOB, I think. For some reason, I feel like RRQ Akira are better than TOB right now, as it stands. So we'll put them here. ONIC, S tier as well, and Blacklist, maybe the highest A. So, in my opinion, this is how it should look like, but we gotta have a hot take. So, okay. Let me see the groups again, and let me just go for a hot take. Which team is not going to make it to knockout stage instantly? Boom. All right, so Team Flash, the only L. Is that too harsh? It might be too harsh, but you know what? We gotta have one hot take at least. This. If I did this right, it would be too much of a bitch move. You know what? So Team Flash is a friend, you know, we'll put BTR Sons as well in there as well. I'm sorry, BTR Sons, and I'm sorry, BTR. I love BTR, but facts are facts. This BTR hasn't impressed me at all just yet. Maybe they'll impress me at M5, but that's the tier list. Let me know what you guys think. List it in the comment section as well. Who you think is S tier, highest S, A, B, dark horse, and L. And like the video if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe because there's going to be a lot of vlogs, content coming your way the next week, the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks because of M5. Peace out, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.